Hello and welcome. My name is Lila, and this is Happiness is Practice and Exercise, which is basically going to be tools and tips and things that I do to help use happiness in all the situations. Because, yes, it's lovely to sit and meditate and feel happy, but then there's being out in the world and changing habits and practicing things. So this is are some of the things I have created or put together or used from other people and made it my own, which is what happiness is all about. But let us start with just breathing. Just settle in and let it go. And inhale and exhale. And inhaling, follow the breath in and down. And exhaling, clear that space around you. And inhaling, feel it go a little deeper, expand a little more. And exhaling, release all the bits inside that are kind of stale and don't need to be there anymore. And inhaling, feel the body relax. And exhaling, feel the body settle in. And breathing in your own time. Keeping an eye on the time because I may meander a bit today. But so the first big tool for happiness, for changing your world, because happiness is not just about feeling a specific way. It is about feeling like the world is a better place, feeling like we are an integral part of it, feeling like things can go our way, like we are part of the art, part of the creation. So it is not just a passive thing. It is about, starting here and then letting it move out. And of course, with any good self-help, do-it-yourself improvement, whatever, it is about manifesting, about bringing about the world and the life and the feelings that we want. So I'm sure you have heard about visualization. It's a big one with any form of manifesting anything. It's a big one for finishing goals. Um, And of course, growing up with positive manifestors, visualization was a big word that got thrown around the household all the time. Well, did you visualize it? This, I want this, I want this. Okay, so visualize it. See yourself receiving it. See yourself on the stage. See yourself accomplishing that. See yourself 20 pounds lighter or making the basket or doing the exercises. And a lot of people have can say, yes, I just visualized myself doing it. And there are the collage boards, the dream bulletins or dream boards where you put up all the things that you want to have. And there's Martha Beck, I think is her name. She wrote a book about the North Star. It was also one of these. It was pretty cool. You sit and you feel and you see what images pop into your mind and then you draw them and then they happen at some point or another. It's kind of funky. So visualizing, big word, and it's actually pretty easy, right? Because, well, if you're like me, Reading books and watching TV, you project yourself into the stories. So you are used to putting yourself out there. That's another big one, right? Put yourself out there. So you're part of what you see on the TV, you're part of what you're reading, you're part of what's out there. And that, for me, was the big reason it rarely worked. It's because I was seeing it out there. I would see on the stage this amazing person receiving this award, and I would attend the event and an amazing person would receive the award, but it wasn't me. I would see myself doing these jobs or see myself in these situations, and it would not come about or it would not happen as I saw it. And eventually I realized that it was because I was putting myself out there instead of bringing it into me. Anything can happen out there. I mean, creativity is awesome. You can write the most amazing stuff and you know that it's separate from you. So when you put yourself out there, you are separating yourself from your world, from the heart center, from your breath, from your body sometimes. I've had some months where I was never in my body. I was like, I'm putting myself out there. And my body is over here going, yeah, well, I'm just going to keep eating this stuff till you come back, okay? So that is not a key that worked for me. For me, and maybe it's because it was centering it back in my body, it has to be about the feeling of it. Feeling myself receive something, feeling myself doing the work. Because, seeing it happen, anything can happen. All sorts of things can happen in the brain, but actually feeling it, I can see myself do a cartwheel. Ha! It was really awesome. Feeling myself actually doing the cartwheel, we know is something totally different. There is the centering, there's the being pretty confident about the first hand and totally flubbing it on the second one. And sometimes the legs go over and sometimes they don't. It depends on if there's grass or not. But I can feel how it is going to be. And then I can change that feeling so every time it's better. Know that this leg has to lift more, do this. But seeing myself and feeling myself are two different things. And it's the feeling of self that makes it me that's doing it. So instead of visualization, I call it in visualization so that I can remember that it has to happen in here first. The way that I know that it works is because it finally started working. One of the first ones I remember doing is sitting in my apartment, not sitting, I was actually folding laundry and looking at the bed. And because we've been talking about, we wanted a sleep number bed, those really cool numbers where everybody can make their own. So I was, okay, what would it feel like to actually have a sleep number bed? I had no idea what they looked like, so I couldn't visualize that anyway. But what would it feel like? And it's not about what it feels like to sleep on it, but more about what it feels like to have it here in the room while I'm doing the laundry. And when you first get something new, or when I first get something new, it's really prominent. It's really cool. So everything kind of moves around that. I'm doing my laundry on my new sleep number bed. Da, 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 da. I am so proud of us for getting it. I feel really happy about having it. I'm excited about sleeping on it. It's so much better than it was. And I could actually feel the shift, feel the change, the difference between gosh, it would be really nice to have something new. And ha, look at what we did. We've got a sleep number bed. That's so awesome. I get to tell everybody I get to push the buttons. Yay! And I think it was a month later, one thing came in, an ad came in. We decided to go check it out, and it happened. And we had our sleep number bed delivered. I was like, that was pretty cool. It happened the same way for the couch too. I wanted to change the couch, so I just saw what it felt like having something that was comfortable that fit in the spot instead of having to keep walking around it. That kind of relief of having it fit in the spot. But the best one was when I changed my car, and I'm kind of really proud of this. I had a little bitty car, little red car. I loved her, but it was definitely a teenage car. She wanted to go zoom, and I wanted to go nice and slow. And I wanted to be able to see people. Every time I passed a truck, I felt like I was shrinking in on myself. So I wanted a vehicle that was bigger, that I felt more in control in, that I was confident in the weather. And so one day I was driving along and um, oh, so I like fantasy stories. And one thing about there's the elven steeds, they can change shape anytime they want. So I started with that. I'm like, I'm driving an elven steed and it can change shape. And the first thing I thought was, well, then people are going to notice. I'm driving down the street and the car's going to change shape and people are going to go, oh my God. Like, no, people only see what they need to see. Nobody's going to notice. And nobody really knows what my car looks like. So even if they see something different each time, it doesn't matter. Okay, over that hump. Okay. So my car is an elven steed. So what does it really feel like? What do I want it to be different? And so I felt the space above my head and on the arms on the side, and I felt myself with that confidence that sitting up a little higher would give me. And I made myself breathe a little more easily because I would be more relaxed driving a bigger vehicle. And it clicked in. I I'd worked on it. I think I'd been working on it for a week. And then all of a sudden it just clicked in that this is what it feels like. It was really awesome. When I got out of the car, I was a little shocked that it was still a little red car. Okay. But a week later, I think, my brother said he was getting ready to sell his car, and my ears perked up, and he had this big black SUV. I went, really? And so we talked about it, and then I went and test drove it, and then we got it tested at the thing, and then I went to trade in my little vehicle to one of those things, and it turned out it had hail damage. So instead, I was able to give it to or make an insurance claim on it. And so basically, with the loan and everything and what we got back for the car, I, with no output of money, changed my little red car into a big black car in about a month. It was so awesome. So now all the time, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I visualize now? But the important thing is I have to be able to feel it in here, which is where the happiness helps because it is easier to do it from a space of Zen, from a space of calm, from a space of joy and anticipation and comfort than it is from that space of fear. Driving past a big truck in a little red car, I would never be able to manifest my big car because I'd feel like this. But once I'm past and once I am able to relax and breathe, then it is easy to feel that space, feel the tallness, feel the better part of the car. So, in visualization, being able to feel not only um, it happening, but feel it happening to me. You feel it happening to you. Another quick example would be money. So there is the winning money. Oh my God. And the tension, you can feel how you might be excited or feel that you might start to cry, feel almost overwhelmed. So there's the winning money feeling, which we can feel and recreate, or the having money feeling, which is a little more relaxed and kind of fun paying the bills because you know that the money's in there and it's nice to be able to do that. And it breathes a little more easily. I would always go well, usually I still actually have a goal to win the Publishers Clearinghouse just because, so I still am working on that. And I say that out loud so that when it happens, people will know that I was working on it. And that's what it would feel like. But when we feel and visualize, manifest, whatever, the sensation of having, it isn't about how we get it. It is simply about it being part of the life. So the car one, for example, since I was able to feel the vehicle, I didn't put a brand name on it. I didn't say it had to be a specific color. I didn't say it had to be because I traded in my little car. It was just that this was how I wanted to feel when I was driving. And then being open, being zen, knowing that I was in that groove allowed me to keep following the steps for the things that happened. Because I could have said, oh, that's great, he's selling his car, and left it at that. Or I could have said, oh no, my poor little car has hail damage. I guess I'm just going to have to sell it for $100 and feel bad about it. Instead, I followed the steps, and that took a little courage, saying, hey, I want that. Or, you know, putting in a claim for insurance, that's actually standing up for yourself, and that can be hard to do. So it is feeling it, feeling yourself having it, and allowing yourself to follow the flow and see what works. So the next big exercise is one we've been working on. It's the feeling exercises that we've been doing at every session. And I'm going to go over a little bit, kind of expand on them. So first of all, the reason I started doing it is because it's really easy to get up in the morning and write in my journal for days about how I needed to change this and how I wanted to change that. And I'm in this big drama vortex, and you could write a teenage novel about my life because everything is just so emo. I think that's the right word. And it wasn't, it just getting up in the morning, that is where I automatically went. And you're supposed, I had to journal first thing because otherwise I'd never get it done. So, that's how that would go too. I just write reams about how I wanted to change, but how stuck in the mire I was. And so instead, I decided that, and I'm trying to think of how I did this, or why it triggered it. And I don't remember. Somebody probably was talking about, feeling the way you want to feel as opposed to feeling how you are. Like, okay, well, I need to acknowledge what feelings I have, because otherwise it feels like I'm stuffing them down and saying, bad, Lila, you're not allowed to feel that way. You have to feel this way. And Lilas don't do that. They rebel. So it's like, okay, I need to acknowledge what it is I am actually feeling. And then I will state what it is I want to feel. So I did that for a while. I'm like, okay, and only, 2 minutes, just enough time to really write it down. But then I get to stop and I don't have to dwell for 14 pages on why I feel this way and how the darkness affects me and how the light affects me and blah, blah, blah. So 2 minutes with that, and then 2 minutes with how I want to feel. It's not a big drawn out thing. Again, not a stick to beat myself with, simply almost matter of factly. This is what I want. This is what I think is. This is what I think I want. Da 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 da. Which made it kind of unemotional, actually. Weird thing to say about feelings, but it was okay, I'm doing this and then I'm doing this. It is a logical way to acknowledge what I want and acknowledge what I want to change it into. And then we'll go on from there. Now, sometimes I would start with how I'm feeling and move on to how I want to feel. But sometimes I start with how I want to feel and then move on to how I'm feeling. Because again, it's easy to get into that habit. If I'm writing down how I'm feeling, I must be feeling something I don't want to feel. So let's pick all the things that I don't want to be feeling, whether it's stomach or I'm sure there's some depression in there somewhere I can pull out for this, how I don't want to feel. Now, how am I really feeling right now? So sometimes it was good to start with how I wanted to feel because it took away that automatic heavy weight of how I'm feeling now. And then I could say, well, actually, now I am feeling pretty good too. I'm a little more awake. I'm a little more aligned with the world. And it turns out that usually it's just a weird habit getting out of bed of thinking all the deep dark thoughts you went with as you went to bed the night before. It's like it's not real. It's not even something to be focused on or frustrated with. That was last week, but the habit is in there still. So, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, depending on how much time I have. And sometimes 5 minutes because I want to actually get a thought out and get to journaling on the real stuff, really get back in depth on thoughts that I've had as opposed to the big long drama. And it doesn't have to stick to that. It is sometimes I will just go off on a tangent, which is another reason for setting the timer. How do I feel? Well, today actually I feel pretty good. The sun was shining, blah, 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 and the birds were singing and la, la, la. 2 minutes, okay. And how do I want to feel? Well, actually, I want to feel pretty good because I want the sun to shine. There's no, you have to stick to these things, you have to stick to this. It's just a way to connect with yourself. And again, rules and strictures tend to create rebellion and resistance. So the third one came about later. How does it physically feel to feel the way I want to feel? Because I started realizing that there was a definite physical component to feeling relaxed. The big one, of course, was the headache. After visualizing so much, I'm sure I've said this before, you get the big brainiac thing going on. So I learned that relaxing, I could really feel it up here in the forehead. And then it would move down to the jaw. And of course, then the shoulders would go. So when I was able to sit and just let the tension go, which also takes practice, I realized that I was holding tension all up in here. And it definitely changed my singing voice after I realized that. And so physically feeling a specific way does have, relaxed means the shoulders are more down, maybe even farther back. The eyebrows are down instead of up here all the time. The jaw is a little looser and there's no clenching back here. And then you start realizing how it affects, is your core more centered when you are sitting relaxed, or do you tend to slump over to a side? Are your thighs engaged? What do your feet do when you feel relaxed, or when you are running well, or when whatever? There are definite physical components because we are physical beings. So, what does it feel like? It helps focus or give you a different way of focusing on how to change what you're feeling to what you want to feel. Because sometimes it's just not easy to say, I am really frustrated, so I am going to feel better now. Yes, I feel better now. No, first you have to unclench the fists, and then you go, oh, okay. Okay, now I can feel a little better. Now I can reach into the heart space because it's not like this anymore. So the fourth one, okay, that was what do I want to feel? What do I feel? And what does it feel like physically to feel the way I want to feel? The fourth one actually came about a couple weeks ago. Well, I guess it's been since I started this, so maybe a couple months ago, was the what can I do to help me feel the way I want to feel? Some of it is, for example, breathing. If I want to feel more relaxed, I can just sit for 5 minutes and let myself breathe and focus on letting the tension go down. But some of it is like one of mine, 15 minutes of answering emails, because having all these emails creates tension for me. Even though it is not something like, I know that they are junk mail. I know that I've already answered the important ones, but still there is that nagging thing in the back of my head. So if I spend 15 minutes doing emails, I release the anxiety a little bit. And it's not big things to do. Okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to clear all the emails out of my box, I'm going to answer everybody, and I'm going to do it in an hour. Yeah, no, more tension, more anxiety. Just something small. Maybe going for a walk, maybe stepping outside, maybe doing your prayers or meditations or whatever at a specific time. Just one small thing to help you feel the way you want to feel a day. And the knowledge that it might not work out yet. It might work a little bit. It might be just a little different. That's okay, because we're trying stuff and we're seeing what works. So, having gone through all that, we will now do the feelings exercise. Yay! But we'll only do 30 seconds. So, pen and paper. You can tell it's actually been a pretty good couple days because I'm singing a little more, which is something I realized yesterday. One of the things that helps me feel better is actually singing. So that is something on my list. All right. So take a deep breath. And we will start with, what do I want to be feeling? Or what do I choose to feel? All right. And the next one, what am I feeling now? Beautiful. The next question, what does it physically feel like to feel the way I choose to feel? What physical sensations? Yay. And one more. What would help me feel the way I want to feel? What little event or thing that I can do will help me feel the way I choose to feel? Okie dokie. We're actually going to do one more thing. We're going to just sit for 30 seconds and breathe and feel the way we want to feel. Be it relaxed, be it happy, be it curious. Just allow yourself physically and emotionally to feel the way you choose to feel. Yay! If you're like me, doing that is a little bit like doing a yoga pose. You're like, okay, I'm feeling the way I want. Okay, I need to adjust this a little bit. Okay, I need to settle down. Okay, I need to breathe deeper. I'm feeling the way I want to feel. Okay, now feel. Okay, okay. So again, with everything, practice, time. The cool thing I noticed as I was writing the what am I feeling now is I was like, oh, I'm feeling that. Okay, I'm going to change my posture a little so I feel more like I want to feel. So again, awareness. I guess awareness would be the big key for anything. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I want to feel. And I can change that by doing this. Yay. So that's the feeling exercise. I like to do it every morning. I would love to do more things at night, but by the time night comes around, I'm usually reading a book as I walk into the bedroom and brushing my teeth. So I am not so good at the night meditations, which is actually on one of my lists of things to do, to change, to add, to expand my world. The next tool set I call PrePlay and RePlay. Um, it is about using the Invizualization for specific things, and not just for manifestation of a new car, but for manifestation, for creating, for working through a situation. New things, as we are all experiencing right now, can be very traumatic, can be very anxiety ridden, because especially if you're like me, you're like, I'm an adult now. I should have things under control. I should be confident. I should know what my life plan is. I saw my parents do it. They saw their grandparents do it. It's how it is in the movies. This is how things are supposed to flow. And instead, we're all tumbled about, and it's new for everybody. This has never happened to anybody that we know of in our lifetimes. So everything is a little new, everything is a little anxious, and everything is a little unsure. So a way to create a positive experience, a happy experience, a more settled experience, or even a feeling of familiarity with the experience would be pre-play, basically doing it ahead of time in your head. And I know that there are other ways out there that they call it. Um, basically, um, uh, going into an interview, just sit, feel yourself, dress, get in the car, drive down there, know that the nerves are going to kick in at this point, that it's going to be easy to find a parking spot or difficult, that you're going to get there 5 minutes early. Feel all those bits of it. Feel walking into the building, or I guess in this case, taking the Zoom call. Feel yourself knowing that you're going to be tense or whatever, and so feel yourself then breathing. And you can't go through the answers, but you can feel the rhythm of question and response. and feel the brain, and you know that you're automatically going to say things this way or that way, and you're going to connect and respond to the interviewer. So you can feel yourself doing that with a little more sense of calm. And then feel yourself leaving the interview with a feeling of, okay, I did that and I did my best. And then you've done it. And yes, it's not exactly the way it's going to be, but you've lived through it once, an iteration of it. And you can, because you know how you've done in past interviews or how you do in new situations, so you can feel how things will happen, how you will start feeling if the anxiety comes or if the calm comes as soon as you hit the interview space. You know how things are going to affect you and trigger you, so you can feel yourself react and then feel yourself calm back down, or perk back up if that's something you need to do as well. One of my favorites is driving, especially long trips. I, you know, like to drive, but I don't like to drive in weather. So, so of course I live in places where there's lots of driving in weather. Um, and it has always been fine, and I know this, but there's always the anxiety too. So I like to see the trip in my head. And if it's a trip I've done before, then I know where the turns are. I know where the straightaways are. I know that there are some parts that are going to make me a little more tense. And I know that there are other parts where it'll just be beautiful and I'll drive on. So there's the feeling of the feeling of breathing while I'm driving, and knowing that I get anxious about things, giving myself a mantra to say as I'm driving, easy and effortless, just driving along safe and slow, knowing that I have a tendency to sometimes to speed up. So I will feel myself slowing down a little, especially when it gets a little dicey, and that it's okay to go a little slower, even if everybody's whipping past me, because it's about my comfort. So going through that feeling as well, and feeling myself arrive at the place, getting out of the car, all happy, a little road weary because you get that kind of weird feeling in your chest after having been in the car for so long and needing to shake it off. So all the bits of the experience, I get to feel it and drive it and breathe through it before it actually happens. And then when I am doing the drive, I do find myself going, okay, slow and steady, slow and steady. It's all good here. I can see myself going over this issue here. I can see myself driving easily through the snow. So the pre-play helps not only make it a little more familiar, but it also helps put things in place so that when we're in the actual situation, we will start repeating that mantra or start deepening our breath, because we know we've already done it and it's familiar now, and this feels better when we are slow and steady, or when we take a deeper breath, or when we sit up a little more, because we've already done it ahead of time. Practice is amazing. And it's a side note to pre-play, I guess, but well, for the interview, for example, if you are going out to someplace new, maybe driving there the day before just to see how it feels. So there is no expectation. If you're, excuse me, thinking about checking out a new restaurant, but it's a little weird, you're not sure where the parking is, you go there the day before when there's no pressure on it and see how it feels. Doing things the day before is really awesome because you're exploring then. It's curious. You're finding things out, and there is no big result of whatever happens. You can do it and then go home, and it's all about how it feels here, as opposed to what other people are expecting when you walk into the restaurant or the interview or get to the end of the trip. So that is pre-play. And I think it was actually inspired by a book, I think it was called The Wiccan Warrior. He was a police officer, and he talked about before he went into a tense situation, a hostage situation, he actually visualized it going well and everybody staying calm and peaceful, and it did. Like, all right, that's cool. So that is pre-play. Then there is the middle one. This too shall pass. When we get anxious about things, when I get anxious about things, it is really easy to dread it, to put up that wall of resistance and say, oh my God, I don't want this to happen. I don't want, I know it's going to happen. I know I'm going to do this, but I don't want to live through this. And instead, put ourselves on the other side of it. Don't even have to visualize going through it if that is too traumatic. But on the other side of it, we know that things have passed. We've been through the big events that we've really looked forward to, and then all of a sudden they're done. We have, I assume, all been through something difficult that we've still gotten to the other side of. So we know that life goes on. We know that the seasons cycle. We know that every breath means that time is passing. So this too shall pass means, all right, I'm going to see myself on the other side of it. Having done it, I may feel terrible, I may feel awesome, but I'm finished with it. Tomorrow at this time, this moment is a memory. I will look back on it and go, all right, I think I did a good job on that video last night. Yay. But it is already tomorrow, and that means now I need to look forward to something else. So this too shall pass means I know I've gotten to the other side of it. And sometimes that is all we can do. We have no idea what it's going to be, but we know that there is another side of it. And we can breathe because then we have an anchor to move towards the other side of it. Now, the downside of this too shall pass is that good things can go really fast. And so sometimes this too shall pass is a realization that, yep, time moves on. This event is going to be over. I'm going to have to move on to the next book. This too shall pass. Which is helpful for me when it's one of those days that I really want things to go faster and they don't. If I can say, you know what, this too shall pass, and if I can enjoy this moment as slow and annoying as it is, then when it's something delightful and the sun is shining and I'm out playing with my friends, yes, I play with my friends, I get to enjoy that as a long moment as well. So it's a little trade-off. But it also means I'm not pushing against time and trying to make things go faster. I relax and it does move faster. So then we come to replay, which is the big key to changing habits. Because once we get in a situation, it is often habit that takes over. We start responding automatically to things. We start doing the dance move the way we've been trained. Our body gets used to it. If you've been driving and you wake up and you realize that you're not sure how you got to this spot, but it's a spot you've done 100 times before, so your brain kind of clicks off. You know that there is habit and routine and things we just do over and over, and it becomes ingrained, so we get used to doing it. Replay is how we help change those habits. So say I was driving and I did get flustered and I took a turn that was too soon, and so then I got mad, and so I had to pull over and stop and relax and not curse anybody because they were crowding my tail. So then I come home like, all right, that was a pretty crappy drive. I didn't like it. So what put me in it? I was driving along and it felt like this big vehicle was rushing me, and I knew I had to turn, but I wasn't sure where I was, so I got flustered, so I turned too soon. So this big vehicle is rushing me. I'm going to take a deep breath and ignore him and look at the road signs because I know that I get a little flustered and I don't always see the right thing. So I'm going to look again. So I keep replaying the situation, seeing myself or feeling myself look again, feeling the tension of taking that extra minute because they're coming up behind me, but I get to do what's right for me. So I'm going to look again and I'm going to go to the next street and make the turn correctly. And it does take a couple times doing it because it is traumatic. That's why we got flustered. But the next time it happens in real, I will probably still make the same mistake, but I'll realize it as I'm making the turn and go, oh, I did it again. Okay, so stop. I'm going to breathe, go back and replay it. And then a couple times later, the big thing vehicle comes up behind me. I'm like, yeah, well, you're fine because I'm fine. So we're going to keep going. It's practice. There was this study, and I think it was Tibetan monks because, that gives it more cachet, that they did the exercises in their minds, the Tai Chi exercises, and they developed muscle tone just by doing it in their minds because they felt it move, they felt it work, they knew, and if you've done Tai Chi, you know it's nice and slow. So you can kind of feel how everything is going to flow, feel where the pressure is on the muscles, and it's something you can do with your eyes closed anyway, if you're really good at it, which I'm not. So they can feel it. And it didn't, develop the muscles the same way it would if they'd done it physically. But it is a good help to the physical because you can feel the changes. You can feel what you want to do differently. So pre-play, doing it ahead of time, getting the practice in, knowing how you're going to react to things and letting yourself breathe through it, putting the mantras in place, the programming to help it work. This too shall pass, just putting yourself on the other side of it. And then replay, going back and doing it again the way you want it done. They are ways to do it without, getting out there and reenacting it over and over and over again, because the mind is a program and we can train our own habits. And that goes along with the feeling. The more I do it, the more I am in tune with my happiness. And so the more I am able to change things. And it is a lovely, lovely cycle. It's like the reverse of anxiety. If you're anxious and then something happens, you get a little more anxious, then something happens, you get a little more anxious, instead of, okay, this happened, but I know I can breathe. Okay, so this happened, but I know I can breathe. All right, so this is happening, so I know I can breathe and I can actually make a choice to do this. And I know that if I do something, I'm like, I'm not really happy with that, I can do it differently next time because I've done it differently than before. So it's a success feeding cycle, which is a yay. So we're getting close to end of time. But the final one I want to talk about is Tentacles In. Again, it's my favorite. In visualization, we talked about we project ourselves out, or I do, into the situation as opposed to feeling ourselves in here. When I want something, I tend to do the same thing. Like if I want a new job, or if I want to find a group to hang with, or if I want to sing with a choir, or if I want to go explore something, I tend to project myself out, especially if I'm like learning something from Zoom. You know, get in there, be in with the person who's doing it and really be out there. And so, okay, gimme, 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 gimme. And I'm connecting myself to all sorts of things and not actually. I always get this image of an octopus, like, and they're just all over the place. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of how it feels. And nothing is connecting and nothing's landing. And it's chasing things. You know, that whole, if you really want something, let it go. If you want to fall in love, you're supposed to quit thinking about it. If you want this, you want that, quit giving it that energy. It's kind of like that. but it's about bringing the tentacles in, bringing all those grasping feelers back into self. Because what do I really want? I really want to feel happy, to feel successful, to feel connected. I really want this to be bright and shiny and cheerful, and my shoulders to be back, and the smile to be on my face, and my hair to be fluffy. That is what I really want. I don't want to feel out there. I want to feel in here. So if I bring the tentacles in and reach from the heart space, then it's an opening. It's allowing things to come to me instead of me chasing around trying to find the thing that's right for me. There are thousands of possibilities out there. There are hundreds of thousands of millions of possibilities out there. And we could waste our lives chasing after them, going, is this the right one or is this the right one? Or we can bring the tentacles in, a nice little focus, and just what do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? What does that feel like here in this sphere? I get to feel how I want to feel. I get to be seen for me. I get to be accepted for me. And people who are going to align with me, we will then connect. We'll connect in the heart center. We will connect with our vibrations. We will feel that's good instead of being repulsed by the need and the graspingness. Because I don't want to be, "Urgh." And so I don't think anybody that I want to connect with is going to want me to be that way either. So, tentacles in. When it starts getting really anxious, when I'm like, okay, I really want this to happen. I really want, okay. First of all, relax. Second, it's from inside, not from out here. So tentacles in. I get this nice little image of all the tentacles going down in kind of a prayer mudra or something. And it's all inside then. It's okay. It can now come to me. Instead of having this flying shield of tentacles that stop things from coming, it can now connect with me. So let's take a deep breath. Because of course tentacles are kind of tense. Tentacles. Okay. Are there any questions? Any things that you'd like I babbled on too much about or not enough about? I'll go over real quick. It was Invizualization, the feeling exercises every morning, the PrePlay and RePlay, and This Too Shall Pass, and Tentacles In. All good? If you have any questions, want more expansion, of course, send me an email or put it in a comment if you're seeing this on YouTube. You can do that as well. Next week is going to be the final, the kind of wrap up for the happiness practice. We'll be revisiting each of the segments, hitting the highlights. So if there's something you want expansion on, or if a question pops up that you're like, well, what about this? Again, please send me an email so I can address it at the time. It will be next Tuesday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And I think that is it for today. I hope that some of these helped. I hope that they made sense. And it all does come back to feeling. You know, we can name them different ways, we can do different things, but in the end, I've been reading the Law of Attraction. It is all about how it feels. Because we want, I hope we all want to feel good. We want the world to feel peaceful. We want to feel confident and accepted. We want to feel free. And we want to play and have fun and enjoy all this amazing stuff that's around us, even if it's weather. I really want that. I hope there are many people who do. And it is all about how it feels in here. And I'd much rather feel this cool and slightly excited and maybe a little nervous way than the, oh my God, and I've got to do this. So whatever the name is and whatever tools, and remember, if it works for you, it doesn't have to be exactly like anybody else's. It doesn't have to have a name. It can just be what works for you. So I hope things do, and I hope this helped, and I hope that you have a great day. Take care of you.